To another episode of the Hey Joe Show. Now
another episode. We haven't hardly been around in I don't know. Did you go live last week? I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. I don't know.
You were on a cruise ship, and I was in Ohio.
I had no idea. No idea what was going on.
I was in Ohio, and you were in Canada last I checked.
It was Canada.
Yeah, and so that's why you didn't go live. And, of course, I didn't go live either. Because of that very thing. So I have my hat here, but there's no way I'm putting it on because it is smoking hot in here. But I will say this as we get going on the show tonight, we want to thank you for tuning in to the Hey Joe Show, and always want to thank the folks over at thelightnetwork.com or .tv, excuse me, for allowing us to be on their platform, and want to encourage you to go over there and check out all their wonderful podcasts that they have. And, of course, like us on Facebook, go to Apple Podcast, go to your podcast particular store, and look for the podcast, subscribe to the Hey Joe Show, and then give us a review if you don't mind. But what I wanted to let you know is this, that we recently have ordered hats. Some of you have been asking about hats. We actually have placed an order for hats. And so what we're going to need to do is this. If you're interested in a hat, send us a message or leave a message at the bottom of this screen here on Facebook Live, and you can let us know that you're interested in it. As soon as we get it in and we finalize prices and whatnot, we'll let you know what it's going to cost, but we do believe it's going to be what is that word? Cost efficient, cost.
I haven't been listening. What?
Whatever. Way to have a co-host on the show.
I'm interacting with our audience.
Well, I tell you
what. Ruben said your computer's too slow. Time for a new computer. Oh, you unplugged me.
No, I turned you down.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, now I can't hear myself. Anyway, he said he read my lips when I said my computer's too slow.
Is it because is the internet being hogged by other people?
I really do think it is time for a new computer soon. It's making me sad. I cannot work efficiently with this.
Well, the good news is Erin's got a wonderful travel agent business that she has, and, of course, that will help her. So if y'all want to help her get a new computer, just book a trip through Erin, and that will be a blessing in disguise.
Wow.
You're
like
plug?
My marketing campaign. All right.
I know. Anyhow, we do want to obviously invite you to check out kylepublications.org, and if you're interested in a Hey Joe Show hat, please let us know either by messaging us or leaving a comment at the bottom of the screen. So we're going to stick to topic tonight. We haven't been on in a while due to our travels, but we're in tonight. And so we're going to get right back into the topic dealing with teen questions.
You're right to it.
That we've had. And so tonight, if everything works out well, we're going to go ahead and do two topics that through the years have been submitted to us. And one of them has to do with the subject of addictions. Now, I'll go ahead and read it to you. And, of course, there's quite a few things in the thread that was given to us. But here's what the opening thread was. Addictions are very real and can be anything in our lives. One study that I came across stated that 60 to 70% of teens are addicted to something. Why do we struggle with addiction so much? That's the question. Why do we struggle with addictions so much? And so, Erin, let me ask you this. Have you ever met somebody that had an addictive personality?
I'm sure I have.
Somebody that was consumed by something. It's almost like if they were around it, they had no ability to not be consumed. In other words, it kind of controlled them.
Absolutely.
All right.
Which is my favorite word, by the way.
What's that?
Absolutely. I say it way too often.
Well, public speaking, sometimes we say things that maybe we shouldn't say.
Are you saying I shouldn't say absolutely? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's my word.
Sometimes in public speaking, we, go back to some things that we say a lot. And we probably need to be more aware of that, is all I'm saying. That's an inside joke, by the way.
Inside joke.
Anyhow,
right.
No, I think we've all probably known some people who had addictive personalities. Yes. And by that, I mean, it's the concept. It seems some people are easily overrun with a consumption. I don't know how else to say that. And when I say addiction, sometimes the first thing that comes to our mind are drugs or alcohol, pornography, things along those lines. But addictions aren't always in a negative manner like that. When I say negative manner, I'm talking about things that ruin your life. things that change the chemical makeup of your brain. Although it would be interesting to you to see what happens in the brain when individuals are addicted to drugs or alcohol, or even something like pornography. The brain changes chemistry in the same sense that endorphins are released that reward the brain based upon those substances that are used, much less the actual substance themselves. But addictions aren't always because a substance was introduced into the body. And I think that's something that needs to be brought out, which is why one of these in the thread said this: when talking about addictions, I think people think illegal drugs and alcohol are the only things to be concerned about. Now, people are addicted to everything from coffee and energy drinks, texting, social media, cell phones. Things can be legal and harmless, but it's very difficult, especially for young people, to realize that they are using something as a physical or psychological crutch. And you think about what that is, that's where we're getting into the concept of not everything in life is going to be of the illegal nature. Have you ever thought, I don't know if you've ever thought about that addictions can occur, but not because necessarily that it's an illegal concept. For instance, teenagers, I say teenagers, it could really be all of us, are addicted to various things, and sometimes we can be addicted to our hobbies. I don't know if you've ever seen that before.
See, now you're like stepping on toes, Joe.
Oh, I can't do that, huh? I can't mention that. Why was that stepping on toes?
Because, see, many of us out there, and myself included, many of those listening, like you said before, when we think of addictions, we think of more illegal or bad things. And
Right.
I use that with the little quotations with my fingers
And-
for those of you that can't see.
And you used a goat noise. Bad things. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway, and so we think, oh, it's just negative.
Right.
Like those things that are, like I said, the bad things. But, however, when you start talking about hobbies, see, that seems so innocent and harmless. And most of us do have hobbies or things that we enjoy. And so now you're getting real with people.
Right. And I think your description of that is interesting. You said we have hobbies that we enjoy.
Right.
Where's the fine line between an addiction and enjoying a hobby? I know not to put you on the spot. Maybe some of our listeners
That's what you do.
want to chime in on
Put me
this.
on the spot. No,
Well, I throw a question out there
because
for us
it's
to
hard
contemplate.
to find that line, though, because where is that line of, I guess, when it becomes more important to you than the other things that are more important in life? Your family, your work, church, God.
Okay, so
The
when there's
list can go on
when
and on
there's
and
an
on.
unhealthy balance is what you're saying.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
You're saying an unhealthy balance, which was a brilliant thing to say, and I would
was
agree with
brilliant.
that.
I said exactly like that. Unhealthy balance.
You know, but I would also offer this in this subject is sometimes addictions are in and of themselves activities that are harmless. However, the reason behind them turns into the addiction itself. And let me explain by that. What I mean by that is
Do
this.
explain.
When an individual, let's say they are addicted to shopping, and maybe they love going and buying new clothes, or they love going and buying new shoes, it's not the buying of clothes that people would look at and say, oh, that's a problem. How are we going to stop them from buying clothes? Because to the addict, it's not about whether they need the clothes or not. It is what buying the clothes does for them. Does that make sense?
It does make sense,
So-
and I think that's accurate.
It's not always the activity. It's why the activity is being engaged in. Addictions can be reading books. Addictions can be work. You mentioned
and see,
work.
That's exactly why I quit reading because because if I'm in a good book, I can't put it down. So basically, I don't sleep until it's read, and then I'm neglecting
Yeah.
my family and my sleep.
Well, and I think, and you're right. I mean, we've seen you go through that, and we appreciate you admitting that you have that struggle. My
Thanks, Joe.
addiction, no, seriously, my addiction would probably be, I don't know, I'm kind of an all-in guy anyway. And so when I get my mindset to it, I kind of don't
You're
back away
obsessive.
from it.
You're
Right.
obsessive.
I am. And from the standpoint of, like I was doing a leather project where I was making a leather briefcase. And it's like, I don't want to put it down. I want to finish it. For me to put something down is difficult. And the question is tonight, is that the same as an addiction? Is the addiction not wanting to put it down? Or is the addiction found in bad coping mechanisms? Is the addiction found in I am placing in something, an activity, an item above God and and above my family? You know what I'm saying? And so
That
those
hat
questions
wanted attention.
that had definitely wanted attention. Those questions come to mind. Another person said this in this particular thread. They said, personally, when I become addicted to something, they put guitar or computer, it's because it fills that time in my day where I really sit back and feel negative. Putting my mind to something else helps, but I think there's a major difference between guitar uh, or crack or something of that nature. So, in other words, is it possible that the things that I'm addicted to, there can be some less bad, more bad than others?
That is the question.
Obviously, and I would say this: is there a difference between an addiction and a habit? I think these questions have to be asked. What
Well,
do
I
you think?
definitely think there's let me try that one again. There's definitely a difference between an addiction and a habit. I'm almost wondering if there's a spot in the middle, though, like between those two. Because habit's just something that you kind of do routinely. I wouldn't say habit is something that you just can't put down, like you're obsessed about.
Right.
I mean, it's good to have habits to walk every day.
Well,
It's
that's what
good
I was
to
saying.
have
Exercise.
habits to drink water every day. It's
Right.
good to have
Read
habits
your
to read
Bible.
your Bible. Hey, on the same wavelength there. So,
At what point in time does it cross from a habit then into an addiction?
well, I think, well, okay. So Kim said when it becomes an obsession.
Okay.
I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. When you start putting the important things in life on the back burner to make that almost so we're like, see, I would like to see some science behind this, because if you almost like crave it so much, like inside, that you're like going crazy until you're able to accomplish that,
Okay.
whatever that is.
So in other words, it is an obsession. An individual put in here, an addiction is defined by the dictionary as this: the condition of being habitually or compulsively occupied with or involved in something.
See, I would kind of like to see what our listeners think about this. At what point does it become
Where's the
an
line between a
addiction?
habit and an addiction? And I would also say this: addictions can be numerous things. It's not always bad, typically. And I want to go back and reiterate that addictions aren't always the bad. See, if this was only about should I have drugs, alcohol, pornography, things along those lines, people would say, "Oh no, they in and of themselves are bad." Where we as Christians struggle is when the activity in and of itself is neutral
Right.
or not bad, such as lifting weights. But we know that lifting weights can become an addiction. Working out can become an addiction. In other words, you become
that you brought that up.
what?
It's convenient that you brought that up. Oh, I can't work out. It can become an addiction.
Well, that's my problem. I know I'm an all-in guy, and if I start it, it'll be an addiction, and I only need one addiction in my life, and that is studying God's word. That's what I need, right?
There you go.
So I think there's a
Nice way to
fine
twist
line.
that.
I think there's a fine line between it. The only last thing that was said on this is 90 to 95% of the individuals in this particular thing. This person said 90 to 95% of you are addicted to Facebook.
Oh, nope. See, we can't talk about that one now.
Yeah, then it gets real, right? Then it's like, what makes an addiction? And of course, I've seen
Well, you
some
know what?
statistics
We have
on
to
that.
be on Facebook for Hey Joe show. So no.
No, I know, and I've seen some individuals that will put out concepts on social media. Am I addicted to social media? And one of the ways to think about that is, what's the last thing I look at before I go to bed, and the first thing I look at when I get up? And if social media is that thing, then it's quite possible you're addicted to social media. When it becomes such a regular part of your life that you're spending more time there than it's distracting you. I saw Jonathan Zerperlo say hello. Hey, Jonathan. Thanks for tuning in, man. And anyhow, I would love to hear what the...
Hey, Jonathan, you can give us some feedback. At what point does it become an addiction? At what point does a habit switch over to an obsession or an addiction? He should know. I mean...
He should know, as if he has addictions.
Let me
Wow,
clarify.
that's impressive.
Let me clarify, Jonathan. Jonathan is a police officer, so he probably sees all kinds of addictions all the time.
Well, and I bet he does. I'm going to let Jonathan, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Somebody else said this, people seek something to help them feel fulfilled, whole, or less than empty. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon described how he spent his entire life trying to find out what in this world was worth pursuing. And in the end, he determined, here's the conclusion of the matter: fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. And I thought, man, that's pretty interesting, that this person, and there's some wisdom there, that in the addiction, that ultimately what it is you're trying to seek something that is going to fill the hole or void in your life, and you're not finding that in God.
Right. Kim also said when you have, in all capital letters, have to do it, and it interferes with your life and takes time away from God and family.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a priority. It's a time consumer. And all of that. And I would even throw in there the seeking to fill the hole that is in your life. Why is that addiction pulling from you? What is it about the rest of your life that maybe you're running away from? In the sense of negativity, and so therefore I'm going to throw myself all into something else? Is it that I'm consumed with something? Am I consumed with body image? Am I consumed with self-esteem? And therefore I'm looking for a way to fix my hole in my life. And if you're not finding that in God, obviously then you're going to find it in something, and that something's not going to fill you the way that you need to be filled. Right. Jonathan said, go ahead.
Oh, well.
No, you read it.
I thought you were going to let me, and so I had a sad moment there. No. Jonathan said, I would say when you begin sacrificing other aspects of your life to feed the need you have for whatever it is you're doing.
Absolutely. I would say that too.
No, you said absolutely. Okay.
Occupying time. But I thought you said that interesting.
He said what I said, so basically he agreed with me, which means he's right. Thank you, Jonathan.
I thought it was an interesting observation.
You never laugh at me.
Oh, I am laughing.
No,
I'm trying to stay on schedule. You told me your computer only had 21%.
Well, now it's down to 4. But I have a phone.
Oh, wow. You better pull it up. You're about to go dead on Facebook.
Oh,
but no, what he said I thought was interesting is because sometimes people can become addicted to people.
Ooh, good one.
And you have like these young kids who get too involved with one another at an early age, and it's like all they want to do is spend time with each other, and they can't function without messaging one another or Snapchatting each other.
But goes beyond young people as well. I mean, I think you see that a lot with young people, but I think there's adults that have that same
infatuation, addiction to people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Because I would also say this.
Am I the only one that thinks that? Please, if you think that, please comment in.
I don't know, because at my point in time, I go to these. You and I've been to, classes for marriage and
we have
conferences.
Are we having marital trouble?
No.
But not that I know of.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe you need to let me know. But the idea of reaching out to a husband and wife throughout the day, I'm not demeaning that and taking away from that. But I think an addiction can become an unhealthy codependent or dependent relationship where an individual's self-esteem is totally based upon their interaction with that person. So there's all kinds of outlets for the addiction. But what I want to do and hone in on this, because we do want to transition to our next topic, obviously for our listeners, we want individuals to continue to give us feedback on this.
Oh, and Kim said, I think it. I'm going to assume that she means that she thinks what I think about how adults have addictive personalities. I'm going to go with that. Thank you, Kim, for agreeing with me.
Kim agreed with Erin on that one. That's right. But I think at the core of an addiction is there's a search to plug a hole, to plug a void. And it's always going to end up empty unless that hole or that void is found in God. But here's the deal. Some people tend to have personalities that are addictive. In other words, they know that they have addictive personalities, so they need to stay away from certain things.
Right.
And I would say this to the person who has that. You need to be very aware of what's going on in your life. You need to be very aware of who you are. And so whereas other people may be able to do something, and let's just keep it like Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram, you may realize, if I get on there, it'll just consume my time. And therefore, I need to set up boundaries right now to make sure that it doesn't become an addiction. And I would say that one of the manners, and I appreciate what Michael Clark said earlier. I think he said that you've got to admit your addiction.
Did he make a comment tonight?
I thought he did. If not, then I'm just giving him credit for it. I was giving him credit for it. But anyhow, the concept of you've got to identify your addiction. I would say identify your personality and be real with your personality and set boundaries to things that otherwise might be okay, like shopping, like You can be addicted to video games. You can be addicted to eating fast food. And in all of that, the brain releases reward hormones that reward you for that, but then you feel bad. It's the letdown after the addiction, after the addictive behavior. And that's why I'm going to say you're going to end up being empty. It's a cycle, a vicious cycle.
Right. And someone said, Alexandria said, addiction can be selfish and hurts others and yourself.
Absolutely. It can destroy other people. It doesn't boost them up. Ultimately, even if you're addicted with the people, it will be draining to them.
Right. And Jonathan said, when I talk to drug/alcohol addicts, I see that a lot of them are trying to cover some sort of pain or crisis that they have in their life, either death, divorce, abuse, etc. Kim said chocolate. Ginger said iPhone new update shows you how much time you spend on your apps, and that's an eye-opener.
I thought that was a great one, Ginger, and I'm glad you brought that up. The rest of those comments, obviously, Jonathan, your perspective is dead on, and I have found that as well, that usually people are trying to cover up or hide or cope for something else
and
in
really,
their life.
The chocolate comment, I mean, a lot of people use that as an excuse. Oh, I've had a bad day. Oh, so-and-so treated me this way. Oh, I've done this. Oh, that. I need chocolate. Chocolate.
And that's a coping concept, I would agree. And then there's other people who's like, if I eat one piece of the brownie, I will eat the entire pan of brownies. And so food can be an addiction.
Right.
But
okay, so back to Ginger's comment.
No, Ginger's comment. What was Ginger's comment again?
She said the iPhone new update shows how much time you spend on your app.
I would encourage everybody who's listening to this to consider paying attention over the next month to how much you use your phones. I'm going to go out on a limb and say a lot of us probably would borderline, if not already cross the border into addiction with our cell phones. Just because how much we use them, what they're there for, how much entertainment, how much media, how much social media we're engaged in on the phone. And that iPhone 12 update, or iOS 12.
There's a 12?
iOS 12, I think is what it is. It does tell you how much you use your phone and where you're spending your time. And it will be an eye-opener if you will actually look at over the next month.
I'm going to do that. But anyway.
Over the next month where you're spending your time. So, all right. Well, we want to keep the comments coming on the addiction if you want to go ahead and chime in on that. Let's for the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Are we out of time?
Can we do it?
I think 5 to 10 minutes. We're still good. We're 22 minutes into the show.
Mm-hmm.
So let's consider the next option, and it is the subject of anger. Here's the start of it. Dealing with parents and people.
I don't want to talk about anger.
Don't you bring that up. Dealing with parents and people in general can be very difficult at times. There always seems to be someone who knows just exactly what to do to push your buttons and get under your skin. They might say something that you don't like or might even do something to you physically. How do you deal with your anger? How do you express it? Has anger ever gotten the best of you? What do you think?
You're going to make me admit on the show that anger has gotten the best of me?
I don't know if it has.
All right,
have you ever been given over to anger?
Here.
Let's go.
Yes,
Talk it over.
Of course
Talk
I have.
it over.
I'm human.
Oh, so all
That
humans
human
deal with
thing.
it. That human thing getting in the way of the anger thing, huh?
Right. I do think that all humans deal with it. I think some a little more than others. I've probably had my bouts of anger.
Why do you think people are overcome with anger? Because I think you're right. And what I read, I mean, even Jesus he dealt with anger. Anger is an emotion. Angry outburst is
I know, because I saw the movie Inside
is in
Out.
darkness. I get it. Oh, that was a good one. Now I will laugh at that one.
Thank you.
That
finally.
was awesome. That was awesome. But anger, when I read in the text, anger is not the issue. It's what you do with the anger that's the issue. Because we're going to get angry at things. We're going to get angry at people. We're going to get angry at the responses. But I thought it was very interesting and this is, some of the comments that come along the way, the deal is how do you deal with it? And so we got one person on here who said, I'm really not one to get angry most of the time. Someone usually really has to cross the line to get me really angry. I usually vent to my friends if I'm really angry. I guess that means if I'm really angry. I hit my pillows really hard. I know it sounds odd, but it doesn't hurt as bad as hitting the wall. So,
I'm not sure what I think about that. Good, bad, good, bad. Okay.
Well, and I guess the question is there ever a physical response to anger?
Well,
An easy way to answer that would be this. When you get angry, when I get angry, let's be real, right? Does it affect our blood pressure?
I don't know. I guess I need to put a blood pressure cuff on
Next time you're angry, I want you to slap a brother. See, the problem is you live with us, And I know the kids and I don't get you angry much. And so,
Never. Okay, so
but
a
does it?
comment here is if I start feeling angry, I walk away and cool off. Which, you'll hear the typical, like, count to 10. I probably need to count to 100. 10's probably not going to do it. Yeah.
Well,
See, there's people like you, though, that you don't get angry easily.
right, I don't.
You don't. I mean, like, you have to be provoked and provoked and provoked. But when you get angry, you're mad.
Well, see, and that's the other side of this anger is how do you prevent it from building up and holding on to it? And that's one of the comments that was brought out is that one of the downsides of if you do not deal with your anger in a healthy manner, then you're liable to hold a grudge.
Liable to hold a grudge.
In other words, I let it build up until I burst because I didn't deal with it in a healthy manner when it was coming about.
I agree with that.
And so the question is this then, because nobody wants to, at least we're going to assume nobody listening to this show wants to have angry outbursts. And
I hope not.
I don't believe I have angry outbursts. I mean, I just want to make sure I clarify
No.
that before we move further. But my deal is it really does take a lot.
Well, that was my point. Like, it takes a lot to get you, like, okay, I'm angry about this.
You know what's funny, though? I think the older I get, the more
I don't know. Do tell.
quick I respond. I don't say quick I respond like a drop of a hat, rah, but I just find myself maybe losing
easily
patience.
agitated?
Yeah, maybe losing patience more. And I catch myself doing that. And I don't know if that's just because at this point in time, maybe my expectations are such.
Well, you know what Jonathan says as being a police officer, he said, I feel like I have the patience of Job. Haha. We're going to ask his wife if that's true. And he says, but I cope with the stress of my job through physical activity, which releases the hormones that make you happy. See, so it might be a good thing to be addicted to working out.
So I can release the
so
hormones.
You can release hormones for the anger. See how this show's coming
This all
full
just
circle.
comes full circle, that one helps the other. So become addicted to working out. That's what we're getting at, right? No, that's not what we're getting at. No, I find it interesting if this human thing comes in and anger is a part of our response, the question is, how do we deal with the anger in a healthy manner? So let's talk about that. Jonathan said he works out.
Erin, I will tell you. No,
Jonathan says he works out or he writes. Somebody else said they punch their pillow instead of the wall, right? How do you deal with it? Because we all will deal with it, and we all have to make sure we don't have angry outbursts, because the angry outbursts are on us. We cannot blame angry outbursts. I will say this, for what it's worth, and this may start a fire that we don't have time to go. This whole concept of he made me or she made me get angry, I'm going to throw the flag on that one. Individuals can put things in front of us that we respond to, but they never make us do anything to what they put out there.
Look at you getting all technical.
Does that make sense? No, I mean this. And I would love the concept, because how many times have we heard, or how many times have we actually said ourselves, you make me so angry?
Oh, that's just other people.
We don't say that. But my question is this.
Right, I get what you're saying.
At what point in time are we no longer responsible for our becoming angry? Now, can other people put things in front of us? A lot of these comments are pushing buttons. But when you think about it, I am responsible to how I respond to the stimulus. I am always responsible, and I am always accountable to how I respond to the stimulus.
This is true.
Thus, even in my anger, I'm not supposed to have angry outbursts. And so I have to be in control of that.
I'm not liking
and
this
I
show.
will be held accountable before God because of that.
Right.
It's not that I control my tongue when it's just easy and I don't let words fly out. It's that even when I'm angry, I choose to control my tongue.
Right. Here, there's another comment here that says, I've contemplated wearing a yarn bracelet to remind me to not let the anger build up to an outburst. Give it to the Lord. I guess I don't know what a yarn bracelet.
Yeah, I would love to know what a yarn bracelet is. It may be a great
can
idea.
You explain the yarn bracelet a little more?
I'm not sure what that is.
I know.
But any reminder sounds great. Yeah.
I know.
Any reminder that you can look at or even if it's a bracelet that you kind of, when you're angry, you I don't know,
I don't know.
rub the
Let's just let
bracelet
her
or whatever.
explain it.
Um,
Kim said, I will say that after I cool off and then I go back and address the issue, and that keeps me from, I think she means from saying something I would regret.
right. I think that for some reason people believe that because there's a stressful situation that they've got to deal with it right then, regardless of what's going on inside of them. And I think Kim is wise in the sense of back away, take a breath, come back and deal with it. I am notorious for that from the standpoint of if emails come my way that could otherwise be stressful, I tend to not respond to emails immediately. Or a text. I tend not to be quick to respond to text if it is a combative or an aggressive text.
And I will say you're better about that than I am, because I feel like it needs to be addressed right then and there.
And see, the reason I don't has a lot to do with what Kim said. It is I would rather back away and try not to respond in emotion, because typically if I respond and emotion is what is driving my response, then I'm going to do something or say something that I would regret.
Right. And back to the yarn bracelet, Alexandra said it's a simple visual to remind me. So anything that you would have that would keep you, like she said, reminding you on that path of just, okay, like this is in front of me now.
I love that. I saw something on Facebook from a man that I know you look up to quite a bit, and it was about some Facebook posts that he's trying to not be so quick to post on Facebook.
I know what you're talking about.
Because of the response that it gets. And I would agree with that it's okay, even in the world of social media, just because you think it doesn't mean it needs to go on paper.
Right.
Or on the screen.
Someone, Roger said, anger can be a natural reaction. Be angry and do not sin, Ephesians 4:26.
That's right.
But if we find ourselves becoming angry often, we need to look deeply inside ourselves and ask what could be triggering the anger.
Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that. And to his point, and I appreciate him bringing that up, because the reality is this: the anger is going to be something we deal with, but it's what we do with the anger that is significant. And I'll also offer this to you, that in my study of the Bible, there were two basic types of anger. One was a righteous anger, and one that was called the anger of man. And the anger of man was never right, never approved before God. But a righteous anger at times was a positive. And a righteous anger, when I read through the scriptures, was something that when an individual is not doing and not adhering to the word of God, there are times in the Bible that anger comes out. But also when things are being done to other people that are wrong in the eyes of God. Those were in the righteous anger concept. And then there were the anger of men concepts. And all of the anger of man concepts were if you get angry out of selfish reasons. In other words, because you didn't get to play the position you wanted to play, you didn't get the, whatever. If it's a selfish reason, I never find in the Bible that there is an okay for that kind of anger. And I thought that's interesting, because how much is the anger that we deal with, is it selfishly motivated? Yeah. In other words, I get more angry when people probably do things to me or to my family than I do anything else. And so I've got to be cautious about, is this a selfish response because of my perceived hurt and pain? Or is this an anger because of somebody teaching or transgressing the will of God, and are they harming other people? Anyhow, just some food for thought. You can do the research on it. Anything else that came through? Because we do want to wrap the show up. Try to stay timely.
No, we've read all the comments, I do believe. So
Very good.
Great comments from people tonight.
Well,
thank you for interacting with the show.
Absolutely. And you guys make the show more than just a dialogue between Erin and I. That's what's great about this.
Yeah, me trying to make jokes, and Joe just trying to stay on task and giving me looks that y'all can't see if you're listening back on the podcast anyway.
Actually, what I'm doing is I'm kicking her toes under the table. No, yeah, I'm not.
No,
I'm not. I can't. If you could only see our studio, you would come to find out real quickly. We don't have enough room under the table to communicate like that. So, anyhow, no, Erin does a great job. And what's funny is she's kind of the program manager, the show manager, and so she's usually the one giving me the sign when you can't see her face. She's usually the one saying, "Wrap it up, come to a conclusion." But tonight we agreed to stay on task, and so. I'm trying to do that, to be
yeah,
a good
yeah,
guy.
You're trying to be all on task, and I'm trying to make jokes.
I'm trying to be a good guy. So we're going to go ahead and close the show
It's
out
good to see you
again.
too, Kim.
Again, we want to thank the lightnetwork.tv for allowing us to be on their platform. And please go over there to visit them, see what's there. You're going to love it. If you enjoy
So many great
podcasts, go
podcasts.
check it out. You're going to absolutely love
I
it.
mean, we're kind of favorable towards one in particular, but there's so many good ones.
That's right. I mean, check it out. But obviously,
Thank
then
you, Jonathan.
check
Thank
us
you,
out
Roger.
at KyoPublications.org. Again, I want to let you know some of you have expressed interest in a Hey Joe Show hat. I'll show you that. It's pretty cool. We've actually ordered some hats. We should have hats in. And so if you're interested, please leave a message underneath this video on Facebook, or send us a private message on Facebook, or write us an email, joe@kyopublications.org. Because
or Erin at kyopublications.org.
There you go. Erin may need to get an email from you. So anyhow,
don't leave me out.
check it that. And if you haven't liked our page on Facebook, please do that. We appreciate everything. Erin, do you have anything else?
Nothing.
All right, then
We're
are out.
Please hang up and try again.